You've been told that death is an end. Or maybe, if you've explored spiritual traditions, you've been fed comforting tales of ascension, heaven, or reincarnation as a chance to start fresh. But the secret book of John doesn't sugarcoat it. Death is not an escape. It's a checkpoint, one the Archons have rigged to ensure you never leave their system. You think dying frees you from this world? That's exactly what they want you to believe. The reality is far more disturbing. The Gnostics describe the post-death experience not as a release, but as a calculated operation. As soon as the soul separates from the body, it doesn't ascend into some peaceful afterlife. No. It's intercepted. The Archons, those cosmic enforcers of the false creator Yaldabaoth, station themselves at various dimensional checkpoints. Their goal? To confuse, manipulate, and redirect souls back into physical bodies. Reincarnation, often painted as a cycle of growth, is, under their control, a recycling program. Your consciousness is trapped, forced to re-enter the tomb of flesh over and over, ensuring that you never gain enough clarity to break free. The Archons have crafted an elaborate system that plays on fear and ignorance. When the soul departs the body, it's vulnerable, disoriented by the transition. That's when the Archons strike. They project false visions, loved ones calling you, dazzling lights that promise peace, or voices urging you toward the light, a trap designed to lure you into compliance. The Gnostics weren't vague about this. They wrote that souls are questioned and judged by these entities, interrogated not for moral clarity, but to exploit confusion and guilt. The Archons use whatever leverage they can, memories, regrets, hopes, twisting them into chains that pull you back into the cycle of rebirth. And it's not just about returning you to Earth. It's about erasing what little awareness you've managed to gain. Each reincarnation isn't a clean slate, it's a carefully orchestrated amnesia. You're born again, stripped of past life knowledge, bombarded with new conditioning, and plunged into a system designed to distract and exhaust you. From childhood, you're reprogrammed to forget the manipulation at play, accepting the physical world as the only reality. By the time you start questioning things, if you ever do, you're already on the clock toward your next recycling. The mechanics of this trap are disturbingly efficient. The Archons operate through layers of astral realms, each acting like a bureaucratic checkpoint. If a soul resists or tries to assert knowledge of the trap, the Archons shift tactics. They'll use authority figures, beings posing as gods, angels, or even spiritual guides, to coerce compliance. Their deception is multifaceted. One moment, you're confronted with threats of punishment, the next, you're seduced by promises of heavenly rewards. It's a psychological operation at a cosmic scale, designed to corner you regardless of your beliefs in life. Historically, various ancient cultures hinted at similar concepts, but Gnostic texts were explicit in their condemnation of this cycle. They weren't preaching morality or redemption through external saviors, they were exposing a system of soul enslavement disguised as divine justice. Yaldabaoth and his Archons don't just want obedience in life, they demand it in death, ensuring that the soul's energy continues fueling their artificial construct. It's not about you ascending. It's about them maintaining control. And the worst part? Humanity has been complicit. Not out of malice, but ignorance. Traditions encouraging people to embrace the cycle, to go toward the light, are unwittingly echoing the Archons' manipulation. The light isn't salvation, it's bait. This system thrives on predictability. You fear death, you seek comfort, you gravitate toward what's familiar. The Archons exploit that instinct relentlessly. Even the concept of karma has been weaponized in this matrix. While karmic law is often presented as cosmic justice, under the Archonic system, it becomes another leash. You failed in your last life, they say. Go back. Do better. It sounds like growth, but it's another loop in the trap. The Archons don't care about moral improvement, they care about keeping you engaged, locked in cycles of striving and suffering that generate the energetic sustenance they crave. Ancient Gnostics risked everything to preserve this knowledge because they understood what was at stake. Not just physical freedom, but the liberation of consciousness from an elaborate, multi-layered prison designed to appear benevolent while functioning as a cage. The Archons don't just stand at the gates of death, they built those gates. They control what you see, what you hear, and how you respond. And for countless lifetimes, most souls have walked willingly into their hands, believing they were moving toward peace, not realizing they were stepping into another turn of the cosmic wheel. You've been told that time is linear, that you're born, you age, you die, and the universe just keeps ticking along. You've been taught that space is vast and infinite, a playground of stars and planets governed by immutable physical laws. But what if I told you that both time and space are artificial constructs, deliberately engineered by the Archons as part of a multidimensional prison system? Time and space aren't natural. They're mechanisms of control, layers of a labyrinth designed to trap consciousness within a simulated environment that feels real but is anything but. Time isn't just a measure of moments passing. It's a psychological weapon. By segmenting existence into past, present, and future, the Archons keep you fixated on regret, anticipation, and fleeting moments. Why? Because when you're locked into the timeline, you're too distracted to perceive the broader reality. You're constantly chasing the future or haunted by the past, rarely anchored in the awareness that time itself is a construct meant to limit perception. The Archons understand that being aware of its timeless nature is uncontrollable. So they embedded time into the fabric of this dimension, ensuring that your consciousness experiences it as an unavoidable force rather than the manufactured illusion it is. Then there's space, the seemingly infinite expanse filled with galaxies and stars. It's awe-inspiring, sure, but don't mistake the vastness for freedom. Space is another layer of confinement, a spatial boundary that keeps you oriented toward external exploration rather than internal realization. The Archons designed space to be an endless maze, making the physical universe so expansive that escaping it seems impossible. Exploration becomes a distraction. You're so busy looking outward, marveling at distant planets and cosmic phenomena, that you never question whether the entire construct is a cage. A beautifully rendered, mathematically precise cage, but a cage nonetheless. And here's where it gets more insidious. Time and space aren't just external environments, they're embedded into your biology. Your body ages according to time, reinforcing the illusion of mortality. Your senses perceive distance, reinforcing the illusion of separation. The Archons knew that controlling perception at the sensory level would be far more effective than any physical prison. If you believe you're bound by time and limited by space, you act accordingly. You make decisions based on scarcity, deadlines, and physical constraints, all of which are artificial parameters set to keep you docile. Gnostic teachings go deeper, suggesting that these constructs are maintained through frequencies and energetic fields manipulated by the Archons. Think about how electromagnetic fields govern technology. Now imagine that concept applied to reality itself. The Archons didn't just create a static world, they programmed it. Reality functions like a coded system, with time as a looping algorithm and space as a boundary parameter. Your consciousness is interfacing with this code, but without awareness, you're just running the program they've set. Moments of déjà vu, glitches in perception, these aren't random. They're fractures in the simulation, brief opportunities where the mind glimpses the cracks in the system. Even ancient civilizations hinted at this knowledge. Cultures across the globe, from the Mayans to the Egyptians, spoke of cycles of time and cosmic orders that reset. These weren't mere calendars, they were attempts to map the artificial timeline imposed on humanity. The Archons, through Yaldabaoth's arrogance, created a cyclical prison rather than a linear one. That's why history seems to repeat, why civilizations rise and fall in eerily predictable patterns. You're not moving forward in a straight line, you're running in a loop, generation after generation, lifetime after lifetime, stuck in a cosmic hamster wheel. The concept of distance is equally deceptive. Physical separation creates division, not just geographically, but emotionally and psychologically. By perceiving others as over there and yourself as over here, you buy into the illusion of fragmentation. But the Archons engineered space to be isolating. The vastness of the universe, rather than inspiring connection, enforces the belief in individuality and separation. The further apart things seem, the more disconnected you feel, both from others and from your true nature. It's a strategic move, Division ensures that collective awareness remains fractured and easily controlled. And let's talk about how this plays out at the cosmic scale. The Archons positioned themselves as gatekeepers of the astral planes, placing barriers between dimensions. You might think higher realms are places of liberation, but even those can be layers of the trap. The Archons established multiple planes of existence, each more subtle than the last, to ensure that even when a soul ascends, it's still operating within their system. Escaping the physical plane doesn't guarantee freedom. It just moves you to another level of the labyrinth, another layer of time-space manipulation where the rules shift but the prison remains. This entire structure, time, space, dimensional boundaries, is maintained through your belief in its validity. The Archons exploit consciousness itself to uphold the system. They don't need to constantly intervene because you've been programmed to self-reinforce the illusion. Every time you check the clock, make plans for the future, or perceive distance as real, you're unconsciously participating in the architecture of your own confinement. It's the perfect control mechanism, a prison so complete that the inmates not only guard themselves, but maintain the walls. The Archons are not just external manipulators, they are energetic parasites feeding off the very essence of human consciousness. And they don't just influence your world, they harvest you. Your fears, your desires, your anger, your sorrow, they're commodities in a cosmic exploitation scheme. This isn't metaphorical. This is systematic extraction, and you're the resource. The Archons' interest in humanity isn't about physical control, it's about energetic sustenance. Consciousness carries frequency, and emotions generate potent energetic fields. The Archons have no inherent light or creative power of their own, they are cosmic scavengers. Lacking the divine spark, they require an external energy source to sustain themselves. That source is you. The human soul contains a fragment of higher consciousness, and the Archons see that as prime real estate for energetic extraction. They don't need to physically enslave you when they can provoke emotional responses that produce the energy they crave. Ever wonder why negativity is so prevalent? Why conflict, anxiety, and despair seem hardwired into the human condition? It's not random. The Archons engineered an environment where suffering isn't just common, it's profitable for them. War, poverty, systemic injustice, these aren't unfortunate byproducts of civilization, they are deliberate constructs to generate large-scale emotional distress. Fear and anger are especially potent. When people are in a state of fear, their energy spikes in a way that's highly consumable to these entities. That's why societies are saturated with fear-inducing narratives, through news, entertainment, and constant threats of scarcity and danger. The harvesting process is disturbingly efficient. The Archons have developed an energetic network, a kind of metaphysical grid that overlays the physical world. When humans experience intense emotions, especially negative ones, those frequencies are funneled into this grid, which acts like a siphoning system. Think of it as an energetic taxation model where every thought and feeling generates a toll. You get angry? That surge of energy doesn't just dissipate, it's collected.